Okay, good evening, good day, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you have joined me this day. This is Akinropo Akinola. It's the episode of Legacy Hot with Akinropo Akinola. So today, Monday, October 11, 2021, I want us to talk about a topic that we are all familiar with. We're all familiar with this topic. Everybody knows about the topic when we hear it. And the title of today's Legacy Hot with Parenting with Akinropo is Culture and Tradition. Culture and Tradition. I want to thank everybody who has joined us now. Fumilola, thank you for always being with us on this show. We appreciate your time, energy, and everybody else. We appreciate you. We're not taking this for granted. We know how precious this program is to everybody, Legacy Hot, where we talk about parenting, we talk about family, we talk about children, we talk about leadership, we talk about everything that affects our daily life. And that's why the topic that I have here today is the burden of culture and tradition. So, should we even have, or should we allow the culture and tradition to be a burden on us at all? I don't think so, because we are all products of culture and tradition, and that is what actually, distinguishes people, from other race. That's what distinguishes me from somebody from America, distinguishes me from a Briton, even here, I'm Yoruba. My culture and tradition actually distinguished me, from every other part or every other person from another tribe apart from Yoruba. Even within the Yoruba enclave, we have diverse culture and tradition. So that is what really distinguishes people. So culture shouldn't really be a burden, but any culture, right, that negates, the value of humanity, any culture that does not promote peace and progress, any culture that does not really promote, educational approach to the way we can learn things, new things, the way we can think, that culture and tradition should actually, like lawyers will say, be thrown out as a travesty of justice. And I believe that. So before we go ahead, let's define, what culture is. I know this is something we're familiar with, but there's something I've known over time, that what the mind is familiar with, mind takes conscientious effort really to bypass some critical areas about it. And that's why we have a larger percentage of us, especially here in Africa, we have misused, the tradition and culture. The definition of tradition and culture, we have misused it because we are familiar with it. Anything that happens to anyone now, or be it evil, we are so quick to justify it that we may not like it, but that is our culture. That is our culture. That is our culture. That's our culture. When something happens, when a child does something wrong and they beat that child black and blue, and you come out there to say this is wrong, this is not how to train a child, they tell you this is our culture. When a man beats his wife, and you come out to say, no, now, how can a man be beating his wife? Or when a wife beats when a man beats the wife, they say it's the culture. But when a woman beats the husband now, as against the man beating the wife, people now come out that it is an abomination, that it's never done before. And you even see people, you see some culture, you see some tradition, some people in some areas, they say that the wife had to appease God, right? Because she had committed a sacrilege. When a man commits adultery, it is normal. But when a woman commits adultery, it is not the culture, right? So when we look at these areas, you juxtapose everything together, you'll always agree with me that this culture that we're talking about at all, do we really, as an African, or as Yorubas, Igbos, as Hausas, as Ijos, Efik, Igala, do we really have culture and tradition that we can actually be proud of? So my own belief of culture and tradition is this: So culture and tradition must not have any face. Whether it's for a woman or for a man, it must not have any face. If it's going to have any face at all, it's going to have the face in its application, not in the deterrent, not in the giving someone, the punishment for not really doing it right. Right? So if the same punishment that is going to be given to a man for not adhering to the culture and tradition, the same thing, if a woman commits the same thing, it should be given. A man commits the same thing, it should be given, but not that the culture that we want to be proud of is a culture that allows a man to do anyhow, is a culture that doesn't allow a woman to do anyhow, is a culture that allows, a man or the parent to beat the children anyhow, but that culture does not permit the children to query or to question, right? To ask questions from their parents. That is not the culture that we believe can take us to the El Dorado. That is not the culture that we can be proud of, and that's not the culture I believe that I am not going to be proud of that culture, to hand that culture over to my children. The culture that says a woman must do certain things and a man must do certain things. The culture that says a man can sit in the parlor while the women are cooking. The culture that says a woman can only go to the market while the man only gives out the money. The culture that says, the culture that is not balanced, that is not culture. That is not culture. So let's define this culture now. Culture can be defined as ideas, customs, and social behavior of a particular people or society. When we are doing this now, you will agree with me that you begin to think that, do we really have a structured culture, a structured tradition as a people, as a Yoruba people, Igbo people, Hausa people? Do we really have a culture? Let's move ahead. The traditions can be defined as ideas, beliefs that are passed down from one generation to another generations. While culture is defined as what is being known to that particular race, but when it is now being passed down, it now becomes tradition. So, and there's something I've heard over time, that when we speak about lies, when lies had been on for over times, it becomes a culture and it becomes a tradition. So how are we sure most of this culture that have been passed down to us now, do we really have time to actually query their existence? How did they come into being? And that's one of the researches I've been embarking on in the past 3 years. I've been doing that consistently, and I'm still going to continue to do that, because any culture that will not promote equality, any culture that will not promote that will not promote equality between a man and a woman, fine, a man is the head. But the man being the head does not mean that man is superior to the woman. Their job description, their job schedule could be different, but it does not say that the man is always superior to that woman. I'm not really talking about where men, these days that women are just coming up, that women empowerment. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real empowerment, where women and men can sit together and put their heads together, and the ideas that come from anyone that is superior, the superior ideas that come from any one of them is what is taken. So it's not that maybe I'm the eldest in the house, whatever I say is final. That culture cannot move us to anywhere. The culture that says only the elders know what is right cannot take us to anywhere. And this is one of those things that I've gotten, in the area of my research. I discovered that most of these cultures and traditions that we're talking about are not without the input. These cultures and traditions are not without the input of those people that gave them to us. So many of us, we didn't even know many things that happened at that particular time that made that culture to come into being. Many of us don't know. We don't know what happened that made those cultures to come into being. We don't know who had been killed, and because of that, something like that had happened, and they said that unless so thing happened, or somebody must not do that thing again. Right? Now look at it this way. When a man is killed in a particular area, and somebody now felt that because that thing happened, no man must be able to do that again. because of what happened at that particular time. Then over time, such occurrence had never happened again. But because we have not been taught to query things, we've not been taught to ask questions. That's something I came up with. I searched on yesterday, and I came up with this Socratic question. Socratic question, meaning that you ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. So we don't do that. Once they just tell us that this is a culture and tradition, then we just take it hook, sink, and line. And we don't want to query anything. It's not going to take us anywhere. Now, look at it this way. This is something I wrote here. That we are all products of our parents. We are products of our uncles. We are products of our aunts. We are products of imams. We are products of pastors. We are products of ustad. We are products of our teachers. We are products of the school environment. We are products of madrasat, meaning that ileke. We are products of Sunday school classes. We are product of shrines. Some of our parents are Ogun worshippers, Shango worshippers, right? We are product of what they handed over to us. So all these form the basis of our beliefs. All these things that we have been taught, that have been handed over to us, and we never asked any question. Me, I started to ask questions like 10, even 15 years ago, before I came into this ministry of parenting and family that I'm talking about. I came into the knowledge space 11 years ago, right? But I've started asking questions. I asked questions. I asked my dad, where did we emanate? Where did it come from before the present location? What, the orikis, what gave birth to that praises that we have in our lineage? What gave birth to them? Why do we have this? Why do we have this? And he understood, he understood my point, and he told me many things, right? Of course, now I won't be able to release all those things here. And he made me to understand why some things are formed in the lineage, the praises, why some names came into that. So I just discovered that those names don't have relevance in my life of today. In my life of today, they don't have any relevance because they are not the thing that I can be proud of, that I want to hand over to my children. I don't want to hand over the name to my children that will make them to see a woman as an object of slavery. I don't want to hand over anything to them that will see somebody from another town and they believe that they are superior to that town. So if you want to talk about all this lineage, the praises, these are the things that you find in those areas. But I don't want to hand over those things to my children. Now look at this. I want to demonstrate something now, and I want us to look at this triangle that I've just done now. From the base left, depending on where you want to do it now, but I just want us to follow the instruction very well. From the base left here, you have the belief. You have the belief system, and the belief system that you have, they are products of the culture and tradition. Then on top, you have the behavior. You have the behavior on top. At the tip of the triangle, you have the behavior. Then on the base right, what do you have there? You have the result. So what that means is every one of us, we are products of the belief system. We are products of our behavior, which ultimately gave us the result. So whatever we have found ourselves now, the position that we have found ourselves now, we don't need to query anything. It is no magic. It is not about any general foundational power, foundational crisis, foundational causes. I had taken, hooked up, eating that lies before. I'd eaten it, that every challenge that you find yourself is as a result of generational problem, the result of one which is in your lineage. I don't want to go into that area. That is not my thing. Because it's something that we have tried and it never led us to anywhere. So why don't we just embrace educational approach that can make us redefine our life in a way that our children will be proud of, and in a way humanity will be proud of. That is what we are talking about. So when you look at the tripod, you look at the belief system which gave back to your behavior, then you look at the result that you are getting now. The question now is, are you proud? Are we proud? Am I proud of the present situation that I've found myself? If I am not proud of the present situation that I've found myself, that means that I have embraced 40 disempowering culture and tradition. That means I'd embraced all those things. Let me now tell you one of those things that, the culture and tradition will always do is like they make you to believe that once you come out of a particular lineage, there are some things that you must always do. If you don't do it, so thing will happen to you. So once we had taken that thing had come into our subconsciousness. So anywhere we go and you've not really debugged yourself of those around generational programming. I'm being careful about the choice of word I want to use now. The around generational programming. If we have not we've not debugged them, we've not detached ourselves from them, we will continue to produce the same result. That's something I posted 2 days ago on my Facebook account. I said that we can't continuously, acting in a manner that is consistent against the desired result that we have. We can't continue to act in that manner and we expect the same result. What gave birth to that? 2 days ago, people started talking about beating, where they gave those, those girls, boys and girls from one school in Kwara State over the, in that place where they beat them mercilessly. And some people were coming up that it is the culture and tradition. That is how they will learn. That's why they will learn. The question is, what do we get from the people that were beaten yesterday? This crop of the people that were beaten yesterday are still the same people that we see today that are running our political space. Have we experienced any change? The same way we cried 40 years ago, the same way we are crying now. So what are we talking about? Why can't we embrace culture that can promote egalitarian, culture that can promote humanity, culture that can bring forth solution to the demonstrable human problem? Why can't we embrace that? Come with me. There is something that I have done here, and I want us to, it's an activity, it's an exercise that I want us to pay attention to it. I have about 3 questions here. Now the questions are these. Number 1, what is your present belief about someone of other faith? So if you want to write, please you can write them here. As I'm asking this question, then you have answers to them. Please write them. What is your present belief about someone of other faith? When you see someone that is Hindu today, what is your present belief about them? Let me even say this. You see a gay, you see a lesbian today. What is your belief about them? Not alone that, where did you get those beliefs from? How did you come about the belief you see someone that is not of your faith? A Christian, a Muslim, a Hindu, Ogun worshipper, Shango worshipper, a pagan, a lesbian, gay. Name them. What is your belief about them? How did you come about that belief? Who tutored you? Who lectured you about those beliefs? I don't want to speak on your behalf, but if we can just write all those things down, write the answers down. What could that belief system be costing you? That is the last question in the question on number 1, the sub-question on number 1. What is that your belief system about the person of other faith, about the person of gay, lesbian, about the person of other tribe, about the person of other race? What the belief you have for those ones, what is that belief costing you at present? Look into that. The second one, what is your present belief system of a man and a woman? What is your present belief of a man and a woman? Is your belief anchored on what our forefathers have passed on to us, that a man is superior to a woman? What is your belief system? Then how did you come about that belief system? Then what is that belief system costing you? Let me come in here. While I was growing up, it was believed that it's only elderly people that can talk and people will not challenge. when people are talking, they now say that let the elderly of them, let him talk or let her talk. So immediately that person says something like, they now say that it is what the elder has said that everybody is going to agree. But guess what? That is one of the problems that has held us bound till today in Nigeria of today, especially in Africa. That is one of the banes of our underdevelopment. In so much that we are not giving to superiority. We are only giving to superiority according to the chronological age. According to chronological age, that is what we give superiority to. So even if our children say something and we're having a meeting, once your children say something, we believe that they are just kids. What they say does not matter. It is what the parents say that matter is because of our belief system. So what is our belief system about a husband and a wife? What is your belief system about a husband and a wife? Whatever your belief system is, whatever that you have agreed that a man is or a woman is, then a husband is or a wife is, how did you come about those belief systems? Then what is that belief system presently costing you? This is one of the challenges that we have here. And I've seen many people that because they have women as their superiors in the offices, they have women, they report to women because they have that disempowering mindset that a woman is not superior to a man, that I'm supposed to be the head, that I have somebody like her at home as my wife. So you are not behaving right to that woman because of the culture and tradition. It's a body. It is a body. And that's why I said, many of us don't ask questions. If you ask questions, you will know that almost 90% of this culture and traditions that we brag around should have been jettisoned. Because they are not moving us forward. They're actually taking us back. They are taking us back. Because you see a woman has superior opinion over yours, but you are so, you are so stiff-necked to accept the superiority of that woman because you have been taught that a man is superior to a woman. Who taught you that lies? We should be able to challenge all those things. Then the last question here, what belief system drive your behavior? Every of your behavior you exhibit daily. The way you relate with people, the way you interact with people, with children, with teachers as parents, with your with teachers, with schools where your children attend. What drives that behavior? Who taught you the belief system? How did you arrive at those belief systems? What is that the present belief system costing you? In the way you relate with people, in the way I relate with people, in the way we comment on people's page. We are driven by what? We are driven by belief system. The belief system gave birth to our behavior, and the behavior gave birth to the result. So if the result we are getting now in our life, and we believe that it cannot take us to the place that we desire, then what do we need to do? Go back to the root. You go back to the root. When you go back to the root, you begin to discuss about the belief system. That is the base. You discuss about your belief system. Then from there, you now think of the behavior. What behavior? Okay, now I'm just rushing this, but next week, we're going to have like 3 or 4 series about this, the burden of culture and tradition. So this is part 1. Part 2 is coming up next Monday. So don't let me rush this now. Let me just stop at this level. So how you are going to identify all those disempowering belief systems, I will let us know by next week. But what we have taught today is to unearth, the mystery behind culture and tradition. I am a product of culture and tradition. I'm so proud that I'm a Yoruba man. But the problem that we have is, as being Yoruba man, I can confirm to you that we don't have any uniform culture that we can say this is our own. Everybody is just coming up with anyone they say. This is what my dad told me. This is what my mom told me. This is what my great-great-great-grandfather told me. Right? And I say it again. I'm going to say it again that any culture or tradition that will not empower humanity, any culture and tradition that will not give us solution to the demonstrable, ever-increasing demonstrable human problem, those culture and traditions should be trashed out as like a travesty of justice. They don't have a place in this Nigeria of today. They don't have a place in the way we raise our children. They don't have a place in the way we lead our company. They don't have a place in the way we govern the state. They don't have a place in the way we want our children. We want to hand over the baton of leadership onto them. So we need to look into this properly. So that's why I've entitled this one, The Burden of Culture and Tradition. So I'm going to stop here. I want to thank everybody who had come up here today, because I'm sharing this a message on Instagram and Facebook. I want to appreciate everybody. Let me just quickly try to capture people that have come on Facebook and Instagram. Dr. Henry Ukazu, thank you for joining. Adenike Peters, Piro's Shoes, thank you for joining. Parenting Connect, thank you. Olamide, thank you. Ire Kanka Gold, thank you for joining. Faintola of Lagos, thank you. Olubilanre, thank you. Oh, it's been a while. Thank you, brother, for joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeshua, thank you. Madam Ogunkomi, thank you for joining. God bless you. Inclusion Expert, thank you. Fumilola, thank you for joining, everybody. Time will not permit me. Let me try to go to Facebook. Who do we have here? Olumide Akimbi, thank you for doing your man's job here. Akinola Sheo, Akinleye, thank you for joining. My big uncle, thank you for joining. Abiodun Ashimi, Ladipo, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. There is this great book I'm reading right now. It's written by my big uncle. It's so... it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I love the book and all the content herein. Thank you, sir, for that lovely book. Thank you. Tosin Sam, thank you for joining. Olumide, thank you, everybody. So, till next week, when I come up again, let's bear it in mind. Let's begin to ask questions. I'm not condemning our culture and tradition, but I want to tell you emphatically that as a Yoruba man, I'm not so sure that we have any structured culture and tradition that we can export out that people will not challenge. And do you know why they challenge this? Because they tested it. They can test it that this culture will not promote humanity. This culture will not bring forth solution to the problem, to the demonstrable human problem. That is my worry about the culture. So why can't we embrace culture that will, the culture that will give us solutions, the culture that will raise our children with, that they think within seconds, they bring up solutions to the problem that the world is facing. Not the culture that will always shout them down. Not the culture that will always believe that the elderly is the only one that has superior opinion. Not the culture that will always say that where men and women are, it's only what men say that hold water. Whatever the women say that is being subjected to what men have to say. That is not the culture that we want to hand over to our children. So thank you for coming on board once again. By Monday next week, this series continues. The Burden of Culture and Tradition. Thank you.